mother sent me to work with children for drawing when the school was opened, and I was just about 11 years old. And I thought I was a teacher and I would be respected straight away. So I entered the classroom with my notebooks, but the children were jumping up and down. And I couldn't control them. So the next morning, I told Mother, I can't teach. So Mother didn't pay attention to that. Mother just said, les enfants apprennent par leur corps. The children learn with their body. So you will mark 2 points and they will walk. You remember, I think I had told you about it, and they'll mark 2 points on their notebook and they have to show how they walked and how they walked around the table. So it was a very good starting point. It quietened them immediately. And then one of the children said, I know another way, and he jumped up and down my platform. And so it was a ligne brisée, it was a broken line, and it was a very good start for drawing. They got interested. And after that, I don't quite remember what I had asked them to draw, but we had vases, simple vases, and simple forms, cube, pyramid, cylinder, sphere, all made in three-dimensional. And when we were children, we had painted them. And that was our drawing class, to learn the shape and do the shading with a pencil, lead pencil. So I took a similar pattern for my own classes. I asked them to, after they had done their starting of drawing, I asked them to do sphere, cylinder, and pyramid. I don't remember exactly in which sequence I had given them, but they got interested. And then they...
How old were they?
9 to 11. Afterwards, naturally, at the same time, I was teaching the older students French, and our principal, Shishir Mitra, Pavitra was the director, and Shishir Mitra, who had worked in Tagore's Institute, was our principal. He said, you have to become a responsible person, so I'll give you the key to the 2 cupboards meant for the teachers. Any teacher asking for a book, you will see which is it, and you note down which book has been issued. So that's how I learned to be responsible for things that concern the whole. But
Did you teach dance?
Nat?
Did you teach dancing?
No. I taught somebody, I taught at the college level course French. So at that time there was no separate building for them. We used to hold our classes in the library itself, in the big library. And the hall, main hall, was the place where each teacher would meet separately their students So there were two teachers on two ends of the hall. Or there was the librarian at one end, and I was at the other end, that's right. And we held our classes in different places in the library itself. It was it was much more convenient than later on, in a way. Later on, the sitting arrangement was convenient, was comfortable, but not the books. Books we had to select. Whereas when we were holding in the library, at any moment while studying, you come across something, you say, yes, we look into that book, and you go and fetch the book. Medananda allowed me to handle the books. So it was simple enough.
What was Medananda like?
Medananda, he had told us that his father had always given him books to read. So, and he was interested in different countries and particularly Egypt, and he had studied a great deal. Then, whenever mother would explain something in the class of the playground class on Wednesdays, she would say, this much I know. If you want to know more on the subject, you go to Medananda. He found me one day reading some from a very old book with a black leather cover, and it was on Egypt. And he found that I was taking notes. And he was very interested. And he said, you are interested in the subject? And right away there were 5 books from him. I think I told you about it. You can read this, that, and that. But in our physical education department, Pranab in charge, said all the captains must know about the history of physical education. And so each took up ancient or modern, ancient Egypt, I had done, ancient Rome and Greece. There are many pictures. Each captain would speak on what he or she had studied to the rest of the captains. And my sister had done physical education in India. And it was very complex because there were different units of people who were exercising. And Sri Aurobindo in 1892, when he was in Baroda, and afterwards he was in Kolkata from 1906 to 1910, when he came to Pondicherry, Chandanagar, then Pondicherry. He had studied the Gita, and for 1 year, I think he was interned for having written certain controversial subject in his paper Bande Mataram. And he was editing 3 or 4 papers, one in Bengali, Jugantar, and the others in English. He was already writing for a paper in Baroda, but here he became editor of 4 papers, Karma Yogin, Bande Mataram, and I don't know which, I can't remember the other 2 just now. And he had written on the subject of Indian independence or something like that, and he had to be interned in Alipur jail for 1 year, 1908 to 1909, I think. And he said he had full faith in the Lord of the Gita, and he used to recite the Gita all the time. And he started seeing in the subtle physical, and he saw the immanent Krishna in everyone, even the worker who was sweeping. He saw the immanent deity in everyone. So that oneness of the spirit had already come into him when he was interned in Alipur jail.
Could you speak a little about Vivekananda?
Vivekananda opened our eyes to our country. He was in the south on the point of the peninsula, on the so he could see the Bay of Bengal, the Arabian Sea, and the Indian Ocean. All the three different seas which had really a different color almost. So he said, our country surrounded by these is one land. It holds all our activities and all our actions, so it is like our motherland. And Vande Mataram was a natural expression because he did in obeisance to all the parts of the country. And that is how he opened the eyes of other men who were keen on reviving Indian culture. From the 19th century, mid-19th century, Sri Aurobindo's Sri Aurobindo's wife's father, I think, I don't know why I've forgotten the name. He first spoke of India as a nation and our culture. That's how Sri Aurobindo got sort of enchanted by the idea of independent culture that is India. And he had said, we are grateful to the British because during British times, we could call all the different parts of our country, north, south, east, west, center, as one land. India as a nation. That could happen only because of the British rule over India. It became one country. That's when I said he was requested by his friend, when he was in Baroda, he was requested by his friend Deshpande, who afterwards had come here, to write for his paper on India. And he said, first we have to open our eyes to our own culture. Otherwise, if the blind lead the blind, they are bound to end up in a ditch. That was the sentence we used to always quote because we were amused by the wordings. This he embodied when he was staying in the ashram here, and the mother was looking after the organization of the ashram, and she would carry the midday meal for Sri Aurobindo into his room, and the attendants, Champaklal and Nirod Baron, they would be there to help Sri Aurobindo, and my sister was doing some fretwork, and she had done a very beautiful design on a thin wood, which was placed on a tray, which was made into a tray, and because there was fretwork, they put a glass sheet over. So that day, when the food was put on the vessels were put on the tray, and mother had to carry. Mother said, "The tray is really heavy today." So I think Juman or Champaklal used to carry the tray for her and pass it on to her for Sri Aurobindo's midday meal. Something like that happened. Mother had to look after all the physical needs with Champaklal and Bangshidhar and these people, because he was like concerned with the whole world and the whole of India and the ashram, what was happening in, and to bring in the presence of the divine in all these areas. It started with his experience that I'm going to read. The bliss of Brahman. I am swallowed in a foam white sea of bliss. I am a curving wave of God's delight, a shapeless flow of happy, passionate light, a whirlpool of the streams of paradise. I am a cup of His felicities, the thunder blast of His golden ecstasy's might, a fire of joy upon creation's height. I am His rapture's wonderful abyss. I am drunken with the glory of the Lord. I am vanquished by the beauty of the unknown. I have looked alive on the Eternal's face. My mind is cloven with His radiant sword. My heart by His beatific touch is torn. My life is a meteor dust of His flaming grace. Symbol moon. The moonlight, Sri Aurobindo and Mother had described as the light of the spirit, spiritual light, because people said they dreamed, sometimes they dreamt of the moon, some people of the moonlight on the world, other people dreamt of the sunrise. You know, they used to ask Mother and Sri Aurobindo for the explanation. So the sun was symbol of the truth consciousness, and the moon and the moonlight were symbol of the peaceful spiritual consciousness. Symbol moon. Once again, Thou hast climbed, O moon, like a white fire on the glimmering edge, floating up from the haunted verge of a foam-tremulous sea. Mystic horned here, crossing the grey-hued, listless nights and days, spirit silver craft from the ports of eternity. Overhead, with thy plunging and swaying prow, thou fleetest, O ship of the gods, glorifying the clouds with thy halo. But our hearts, with a rose-red rapture shed from the secret breasts of love, almost thou seemest the very bliss that floats in opaline air over heaven's golden roads, embodied here to capture our human lives like a nectar face of light in the doubtful blue above. Dumbly blithe, shuddering, the air is filled from thy cup of pale, mysterious wine. Gleam quivers to longing gleam, and the fairy torches lit for night's mysteries are set in their niches, stark and deep. The inconscient gulfs stir and are vaguely thrilled, while their unheard voices cry to the wonder light now seen, till descending its ray shall unlock with a wizard rod of fire the dumb recesses of sleep. Bright and alone in a white, foam-glinted, delicate, dim blue ocean of sky, ever thou runn'st, and thou floatest as a magic drifting bowl flung by the hand of a drunken god in the river of time goes tossing by. O icon and chalice of spiritual light, whose spots are like nature's shadow stains on a white and immaculate soul. How like one frail and haunted thou comest, O white moon, at my lonely call from thy deep sky-covered heights, a voyager carrying through the myriad island archipelago of the spear-pointed, questioning stars, the circle of the occult argent yes, and the invisible to the dim query of the yearning witness lights that burn in the dense vault of matter's waking mind. innumerable, solitary, and sparse. A disk of a greater ray that shall come, a white fire rapture and girdling rose of love. Timelessly thou driftest, O soundless silver boat that set out from the far unknown. Moon crystal of silver, or gold of some spirit joy, spun by time in his dense Aeonic grove. A messenger and bearer of an unembodied beauty and unceased bliss, advancing over our life's worn sea, significant, bright, and alone. The little ego. This puppet ego the world mother made, this little profiteer of nature's works, her trust in his life tenancy betrayed, makes claim on claim. All debt to her he shirks. Each movement of our life, our ego fills, inwoven in each thread of being's weft. When most we vaunt our selflessness, it steals a sordid part. No corner void is left. One way lies free, our heart and soul to give, our body and mind to Thee, and every cell, and steeped in Thy world infinity, to live. Then, lost in light, shall fade the ignoble spell. Nature, of her rebellion quit, shall be a breath of the Spirit's vast serenity. This is a poem in quantitative meter. In a mounting as of sea tides, in a mounting as of sea tides, in a rippling as of invisible waters, on a cry in me, my soul is uplifted. In a passion of my nature, my heart climbs up towards Thee. O unimaginable wonder and resplendence, in a striving for the caress of Thy light and for the embrace of Thy presence. If once given were but a touch of Thy feet on the thrilled bosom of my longing, but a glance of Thy eyes mingling with mine in the recesses of the silence, such a rapture would envelop me, such a fire of transfiguring effulgence. I could never again be as a man upon this earth, but as one immortal. For my mind would be dissolved in a sun glory of God vision and of knowledge, and my heart would be made suddenly more pure and illumined and self-tranquil, and my nerves and my body would transmute into an ethereal divineness, a fit vesture for the Godhead thou buildest in me, for the immortal thy adorer. O thou life of my life, and the unseen heart of its ecstasy and its beating, O face that was disclosed in the beginning of the worlds amid the immenseness, let thy flame wisdom leap down upon the coilings of our python inconscience. Let the love wine be poured out in thy chalice. Let me be drunk with it forever. I shall meet thee in the ocean of thy stillness, in the ether of thy splendor. Thy force shall be in my veins, like the ichor in the unaging who are deathless. My soul shall be as one breath with thy soul, and thy infinity around thee, and shall quiver with the vision of thy beauty and the marvel of thy sweetness. The golden light, thy golden light came down into my brain, and the grey rooms of mind sun-touched became a bright reply to wisdom's occult plane, a calm illumination and a flame. Thy golden light came down into my throat, and all my speech is now a tune divine, a paean song of thee, my single note. My words are drunk with the immortal's wine. Thy golden light came down into my heart, smiting my life with thy eternity. Now has it grown a temple where thou art, and all its passions point towards only thee. Thy golden light came down into my feet. My earth is now thy playfield. and thy seat.
I believe that you, of course, had put your head on Mother's feet. Did you ever put your head in Mother's lap?
Not really. But there was a time when she was seeing us personally, and Champaklal, who used to look after her when people were coming, he said, no pranam, no pranam. So we hadn't to touch her feet. So she was seated on the first floor. And I bent my head, and she pulled my head to her knee. And for a long time I kept the feeling of that touch, on the right-hand side, and the touch of her knee on the left-hand side. And I was sort of uplifted. That was when I had my own body. This is a figure created over my skeletal system. My actual body which had been working in the ashram, which had been to the mother, had been taken out. It was like dead.
It was your subtle body?
No, it was the physical body.
Physical body.
Physical body with all its experiences of life. And a friend of mine, who was not quite a friend, and my own mother were very curious to know how I could transmit all that I transmitted during my school hours or during my physical education hours. I was always the person I was. And I enjoyed doing the movements with them. And the older ladies above 40, I had to go and do exercises with them in the tennis ground. So we were just outside the tennis ground on that strip right near the sea. And it was a wonderful experience. And I loved doing that job. And the ladies were very happy because other captains would ask them to do, whereas I would do the movements with them. So they said it was very easy. They would follow my movements. I'd announce and I'd do.
Now, tell me a little bit more about when Mother pulled your head to her knee. I want to understand more deeply.
I didn't understand. She concentrated on what I knew is that I was meant to, in my real body, meant to transmit all the time whatever she and Sri Aurobindo wanted, either in the classroom or for exercises, or here in the house. Some adults wanted to come and study with me, and sometimes someone came to interview me. So all that was recorded in this room. And recently some adults wanted to come, but I don't know, they were stuck somewhere, they couldn't. So I couldn't start again a sequel of my adult classes.
How did you transmit to others?
The words naturally, finally, but I must admit that according to the need of the moment, I felt what had to be said in the heart region usually. But if I saw something and I felt an urge to say something that I understood in the person, it came naturally from the head. It was a very complex way of life with different groups of people of different ages. But it was very interesting. And the older women were very happy because no one took care of them the way I worked with them. And they said when she comes and takes, it's very interesting. They told my sister head captain. Silence is all. There are 4 parts in this poem, and I should just pause before each. Silence is all, say the sages. Silence, what is the work of the ages? In the book of silence, the cosmic scribe has written his cosmic pages. Silence is all, say the sages. What then of the word, O speaker? What then of the thought, O thinker? Thought is the wine of the soul, and the word is the beaker. Life is the banquet table, as the soul of the sage is the drinker. What of the wine, O mortal? I am drunk with the wine as I sit at wisdom's portal, waiting for the light beyond thought and the word immortal. Long I sit in vain at wisdom's portal. How shalt thou know the word when it comes, O seeker? How shalt thou know the light when it breaks, O witness? I shall hear the voice of the God within me and grow wiser and meeker. I shall be the tree that takes in the light as its food. I shall drink its nectar of sweetness. Electron. The electron on which forms and worlds are built leaped into being, a particle of God, a spark from the eternal energy spilt. It is the infinite's blind, minute abode. In that small, flaming chariot, Shiva rides, the one devised innumerably to be. His oneness in invisible forms he hides, time's tiny temples to eternity. Atom and molecule in their unseen plan buttress an edifice of strange onenesses. Crystal and plant, insect and beast, and man, man on whom the world unity shall seize, widening his soul spark into an epiphany of the timeless vastness of infinity.
Man on whom the world unity shall seize.
I think because scientists or seekers are thinking for the significance of the world and the manifestation of the divine in the world. And as they are looking for it everywhere, the scientist lands up after plant and crystal into atoms. And even there, Sri Aurobindo says, we shall find the Eternal One. He who has divided into small particles unites it from his consciousness above the world. That's how I understand. The Mother of God. Lines written in the 1940s by Sri Aurobindo. A conscious and eternal power is here, behind unhappiness and mortal birth and the error of thought and blundering trudge of time. The Mother of God, his sister and his spouse, daughter of his wisdom and of his strength, the mate. She has leapt from the transcendent's secret breast to build her rainbow worlds of mind and life. Between the superconscient absolute light and the inconscient's vast, unthinking toil, in the rolling and routine of matter's sleep, and in the somnambulist motion of the stars, she forces on the cold, unwilling void her adventure of life, the passionate dreams of her heart. Amid the work of darker powers, she is here to heal the evils and mistakes of space and change the tragedy of the ignorant world into a divine comedy of joy. And the laughter and the rapture of God's bliss. The Mother of God is Mother of our souls. We are the partners of his birth in time, inheritors. We share his eternity.